सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्विताश्च जयतां सुरतोपङ्गोर्मम मन्दमतेर्गति मत्सार्वस्वपादम्बोजौ राधा मदनमोहनौ श्रीमानन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदा श्रीमद्रत्नाकरसिंहासनस्थौ श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसरं वंशिवता ततः स्थितः कर्षन्वेणुर्स्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तु नः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्ता काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दवनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming, visiting Bhaktivedanta Manor. We're going to be doing a little reading of Bhagavad Gita this evening, leading up to the Arti. This evening we're reading from chapter 16, verse 6. And before the reading of the Bhagavad Gita, we offer our respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, by chanting the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So please, you can repeat. We will chant 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, who has appeared as the son of Vasudeva. So out of 9 processes of bhakti, Shravanam is the first and the foundation of the rest of the activities of devotional activities, because by hearing from Krishna, we can first of all understand who Krishna is as he explains himself. And in the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, explains Krishna and Krishna's message for how Krishna has intended it. And Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee of the Lord, his explanation leads us to the Siddhanta, or the conclusion that Lord Krishna has presented in the Bhagavad Gita. So we're going to read just the Sanskrit and read the translation. All right, so chapter 16, text 6. The chapter 16 is entitled The Divine and Demoniac Nature. Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha daivo vistarasha prokta asuram partha meshrinu. Dvau, you can repeat word for word, whoever would like to participate. And we normally just chant a verse and then a translation. Maybe you're familiar. So dvau, 2. Bhuta sargau, created living beings. Loke, in the world. Asmin, this. Daiva, godly. Asura, demonic. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Daiva, the divine. Vistarasha, at great length. Prokta, said. Asuram, the demoniac. Pṛthā, O son of Pṛthā, me, from me. or me, sorry, me is from me. It's written me, and I was just reading like you pronounce it in Sanskrit, so me is from me. Shenu, just here. Dvau bhuta sargaloke smin daiva asura eva cha daivo vistarasha prokta asuram partha me shrinu. O son of Pṛthā, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. So repeat the translation. O son of Pṛthā, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Purport and by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna, having assured Arjuna that he was born with the divine qualities, is now describing the demoniac way. The conditioned living entities are divided into two classes in this world. Those who are born with the divine qualities follow a regulated life. That is to say, they abide by the injunctions in scriptures and by the authorities. One should perform the duties in the light of authoritative scripture. This mentality is called divine. One who does not follow the regulative principles as they are laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. There is no other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. It is mentioned in the Vedic literature that both the demigods and demons are born in the Prajapati. The only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunction and the other does not. Om Agyanak Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Namo Nama Om Vishnu Pada Krishna Prishna Bhutale Srimate Hridayananda Das Goswami Niti Namane Namaste Guru Hasa Paramananda Medese Prabhupada Pramodaya Tushta Siddhanta Nashna Nama Om Vishnu Pada Krishna Prishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. So here Krishna says, touch Renu, hear from me. So as we mentioned, hearing is the first item of devotional service, or first item of understanding the spiritual wisdom, is the humble hearing. And the process of hearing is from the authoritative scriptures that emanate from the Supreme Lord, is the way to actually understand things that are beyond our direct perception or beyond our sensual perception, and to understand the spiritual matters, which we cannot understand by making experiments or by making logical conclusions and speculations about trying to find out what is beyond. To find out what is beyond, we can hear from the Lord, who is transcendental, who is all-knowing, and from the sadhus who have realizations and experience of the world beyond. And this is the method how the authoritative scripture is coming down. Do you want just to close the door? It's Hi Krishna, please. And so that's why the Vedic scriptures is also called Shruti. Shruti is related to the word Shrinu, or to hear. Shruti means that what is to be heard. And so this is related to the epistemology, or the science of, or the philosophy of knowledge. What is knowledge? How do we understand this knowledge that is certain? Or how do we understand how things are? So if we want to understand how things are, we need to actually hear from someone who knows, And this is the way of acquiring knowledge. So even in the material way, when we are born in this world, everything that we know, somehow or other, we have learned by hearing. Our first authorities are parents, and then we have teachers. We have various situations where we are receiving knowledge from someone who has more experience and more wisdom, or that has accumulated for thousands of years, even in the material sense. And Srila Prabhupada often gives the example: if you are a medical doctor, you cannot just decide that, from your own experience. You need to, in a way, get authorized by institutions who have who are authorities on a medical practice. So this is how things are practically organized in human society. So on a higher scale, to understand the spiritual knowledge also, we need to be authorized. We need to approach the source that is authorized to actually relate to us the spiritual science. As Srila Prabhupada often says, the Krishna consciousness is not a religion. Krishna consciousness is not just another one of the religions, bunch of rules or list of beliefs that a certain group of people hold, as it would be sort of defined in a secular sense, in terms of, this is the science, this is how things are, and these are the religions which follow a certain set of rules or beliefs, and therefore they give sort of meaning to the society. So this is not actually the worldview that is given in the Vedic in the Vedic worldview, and it is not. So Krishna consciousness is. It's important to understand that it is a spiritual science, and this is how Srila Prabhupada wanted us to understand the message of the Veda, the message of Bhagavad Gita, the message that he has brought to the West when he ventured on his journey. So basically, the previous chapter 15, Krishna explained what this material world is, and he used the analogy of the banyan tree, that it is the reflection of the real world that exists in the spiritual world, and this, whatever exists in this world, is just like a reflection of the things that exist eternally in the spiritual world. And when the soul comes to this world, it accepts the material body and accepts by its own will to be subjected in a way to this temporary existence because of desires we have developed in the past and activities that we've made by our own choice, because we have free will, and therefore we have created the lives that we are experiencing in this world, and Lord Krishna is facilitating this. It is said also in the Upanishads that Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman, that Lord Krishna is one Supreme Lord who is facilitating the desires and enabling the fulfillment of desires that we living entities have come to this world to experience and fulfill. However, our intents and our actions are unfortunately entangling further into the material existence, and we actually become more and more entangled. And that's why Lord Krishna gives us facility to fulfill our material desires, but also he gives us the knowledge by which we can understand our real position. And he's always explaining what is good for us. And just like to Arjuna, Krishna is addressing Arjuna in this verse as well by Pṛthā, or son of Pṛthā, that he has his independent free will. And in the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Arjuna said, Karishye vachanam tava. But Jai Shri Shri Radha Gakulananda ki, Jai Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki Jai. So we have free will. And so this free will is exercised in a way to either hear from Krishna, understand the things as they are, understand this world and understand our position in this world, or act according to our own whims. And this verse, Krishna explains that there are basically two kinds of living entities that decide to act according to Krishna's directions and benefit themselves, go back to Godhead, live happy life, become free from the entanglement of this world, become free from the entanglement of repeated birth and death and suffering. And also we can have a choice to not accept that and act according to our own whim. But if we decide to act according to our whim, there are certain consequences, and we need to understand, we need to also accept these consequences. Because if we act according to our own whim, it means that we need to accept a certain degree of ignorance to basically, if we act according to our own whim, we are actually accepting different identities. And we are identifying ourselves with different roles in this world or different lives in this world, which are temporary. But however, in truth, we are eternal souls who are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. And so if we actually act on our soul level as eternal servants of the Lord, this can all make all the difference. So if we can understand that everything that we come in contact with, everything that we do, and we are not able to do unless Krishna is enabling us to do. And if we decide to become ignorant of those facts, we are also consciously deciding to forget Krishna. Because if we are really understanding things as they are, there is nothing but Krishna. Everything that surrounds us is Krishna's energy, Krishna's external energy. Everything that we have, including our body, our senses, our abilities, our thought process, everything is given to us by the Lord. And so the process of devotional service is, first of all, recognizing this ourselves as a soul in this relationships, and then showing some gratefulness first for a start. And the devotional service is actually a process of showing gratefulness, of showing our love for the Lord, which is actually eternally dormant in our heart. So initially we are practicing this because we are accustomed in this world to act against the will of the Lord. That's why we are here somehow or other, because at one point we've made a decision to act against the injunctions of the Lord. And this is, Krishna explains that this is actually asuric. So we are in this world, whoever is in this world, somehow or other we have acquired the elements of the asuric mentality or asuric behavior, which just simply means against the divine injunction. However, at any point we have a free will, and the Lord comes follows the soul, just like he's explained in the previous chapter, that I am situated in everyone's heart as a super soul, and from me comes knowledge, forgetfulness, and remembrance. By all the Vedas, I am to be known, and I am the knower and the source of the Veda. So therefore, we depend on the Lord in every sense. Once we recognize that and make a conscious decision, just like Arjuna has made a conscious decision to follow the Lord's instructions, because we understand this is for our ultimate benefit and happiness, and this is what we ultimately are looking for. And when we decided we want to stop this suffering in this world and repeated birth and then we become aware of the precarious condition that we have as souls in this world, that we cannot actually look for happiness in the world, that it's temporary. So if we know we are on the ship that is sinking and ultimately we're going to have to leave this life, to actually seek happiness in this world only without inquiring what is next, where am I going in my next life, who am I, what is the absolute truth, without making these inquiries, and if we just seek happiness in this world, it is only futile. And we can understand these relationships by hearing from the Lord. Krishna says, Pṛthā me shrinu, hear from me. And we understand in the purport that the criterion is between making decision to be obedient to the Lord's instructions, because we understand that Lord has all our best benefit. And that's why He comes. He comes to deliver us, to give us wisdom, to give us knowledge by which we can make right decisions. And we have free will, by which Lord is giving us opportunity to make choice and to actually understand the real purpose of love. Because if there is no free will, there is no a concept of love. So Krishna has explained the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna before he would have. Arjuna said, Karishya vachanam tava, I will act according to your words, according to your instructions. So that's why the Lord gives us all this knowledge, because it is important that we make our conscious decisions and we actually make a choice. This is a very important part, that it all depends on our choice, and we choose our destiny. We choose our actions, we choose how we're going to react to things that happen to us in the world. And all of this is actually creating a future for us. And if we hear from the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic Shastra, we will be equipped to make the right choices that will lead us to better life in this and the next life, in the better quality of existence. So even whatever we are, whatever choices that we make, if we have to understand that everything that we have and will have is enabled by the mercy of the Lord. We're completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. So more we know about this, it will be much easier for us to make decision to surrender to the Lord, because we will understand Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, that Lord is everything, that Lord is all-pervading, His energies are everywhere, He's in our heart, He is giving us all the facilities. And once we understand the glories of the Lord, it will be very easy for us to actually make our choice to surrender to Him, because He is the most powerful and He is our well-wisher. So what better choice to make than to surrender to the Lord. To surrender to the Lord is very simple. We just have to say, my dear Lord, I've been living in this world for so long, suffering conditions of birth and death. Now that I've come in this human form, and I'm able to actually hear the wisdom that you're giving here, and for which you appear in this world, even though the Lord is transcendental. He's the unlimited Supreme Personality. He comes for our benefit in different forms, in different yugas, in different avatars, and gives us the knowledge, gives us the process by which we can return. And so when we actually hear and we understand who Lord is and how actually He is our well-wisher, it will be just natural to make a choice to surrender to Him, because whatever we do, we are taking responsibility, and we can hear what are going to be the reactions of our activities. And then we can make the right choices, because it's actually going to be protecting us. So it is explained that Dharma, one who follows Dharma, Dharma will protect him. One who works against the Dharma, they will destroy themselves naturally, because Dharma means, the word Dharma doesn't mean just religion. We can say, oh, I have my Hindu Dharma or this other religion. No, Dharma, just like I mentioned in the beginning, this is part of spiritual science. Krishna consciousness or Bhagavad Gita, this is not just a religion. It's not just one of the religions of the Hindus or something. No, this is the wisdom that's meant for human beings, for all the human beings. And it is explained that Dharma comes from the word dre, or means to hold. So Dharma means things that hold things together, and which means that if we act according to the Dharma, we will be protected by the universal law. Dharma means the universal law by which things are kept in motion, kept in together. So Lord Krishna comes, Dharma Sansthapanarthaya, to establish this Dharma, but by following which we can be protected, we can be uplifted, and we can live within the divine nature, divine qualities, Daiva. Otherwise, if we choose to live according to our own whims against the Dharma, we will just basically these activities will lead to our destructions. So that is, Lord Krishna is giving us the way how to live in this world, be happy, become elevated, elevate our consciousness, elevate our existence, and in the next life achieve higher realms. Ultimately, we hope to come back to Godhead, and this can happen in this lifetime if we are determined, if we make a decision, or it can happen over many lifetimes. But why risk and take more births and risk who knows what? And we can see how this Kali Yuga that we live in is progressing so rapidly. Many of you, like, you're from the previous generation. Even in my sort of, so far life in this world, so many things have changed. The world has changed. And you can see how different elements of Kali Yuga are becoming more and more prominent. Especially, we understand that Lord Krishna appeared in the beginning of this Kali Yuga 5,000 years ago when he appeared in Mathura, because the Kali Yuga started and the Bhumi Devi went to pray and offer prayers to the Lord for his appearance, because she was so overburdened that the demoniac entities have taken birth in the ruling class that basically taken over the planet. And that was a great burden for Mother Bhumi. She went to pray to Lord Krishna for him to appear, and that led to Krishna's appearance and Janmashtami that we celebrate when Krishna appeared. and amongst to destroy the Asuric kind, and this is why the battlefield of Kurukshetra took place. And then the Pandavas were established as rulers of the world, because the rulers of the world, the rulers were supposed to set the Dharma. The Dharma is the way to protect the population, to make them happy, to make us happy, and to ultimately achieve ultimate goal of life. However, we can see that the Asuric rulers are doing just the opposite. They're basically the whole plan. We will hear about the Asuric qualities in the next few verses, and we can totally see that this is what's happening in the world. This Kali Yuga is the rulers are godless. The only thing what's interested is the material prosperity or material acquisitions. There is no values that is propagated beyond, and even the values that are propagated or so-called liberty or choice are just based on a bodily concept of life, that we are the body. Whatever the body is, this is who we are. And there's now multitude of identities which are being introduced, this identity, that identity. It's just a development of more and more ignorance, more and more going away from their understanding of spiritual reality, that we are all eternal souls. And the bodies that we are using have nothing to do with the identity of the soul. So this is how, the world is divided. Demoniac and divine qualities or activities. So this verse only is an introduction. So far, Krishna explained, for example, some of these: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance. These qualities belong to demoniac nature. There will be more description following this verse. But the divine qualities Lord has described to Arjuna are fearlessness, purification of existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Veda, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness. How do you pronounce covetousness? Gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, freedom from envy, and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. So here, if we hear these, we can try to cultivate these divine qualities, and in this way, go back home, back to Godhead, live happily in this life. We have a few minutes left, and if there is someone who has any questions with which you just arrived, we were having a discussion of the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. We are reading chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita. Would anybody like to ask any questions? It could be also related to something that you might be interested, or you were wondering. We can open some time for questions before the arti starts. Would you like to make any comments? Okay, so I can just make a conclusion. Srila Prabhupada explains in one of the lectures that he gave while he was traveling and traveling the world and preaching the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada mentions that everything comes from Krishna. All the qualities that exist, everything that exists in this world comes from Krishna. So the divine qualities are just like light. And demoniac are the absence of light. So these asuric qualities are in ignorance, which is just when there is an absence of life, then there is darkness. So when there is an absence of divine qualities, automatically there will be presence of the demoniac qualities. So this world is the world of duality. And when we turn to the light, we will see the light, we will be divine. If we turn to Krishna, who is the source of everything, he is the light of this world and the transcendental divine. When we take shelter of Krishna, we are automatically going to be in the divine qualities. And this is how Srila Prabhupada also defines and explains. The only difference between the divine and demoniac is if we make decision to follow the injunctions of the dharmic injunctions given in the Vedas that are coming from the Lord, and or if we decide to act according to our whim, we will be turning towards the darkness or towards the ignorance. So these are the choices that we can make. So here this is so fortunate. Once we have the knowledge, once we have the right knowledge, we are able to make the right choices. So we should just really embrace with great enthusiasm the wisdom that we have at our disposal. Read the Bhagavad Gita, understand our position, understand what is our ultimate benefit. And then the Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Krishna himself, who has appeared to actually show us how to live in this world as a devotee, has given the instruction that everyone who is born in the Bharat Bhumi has a duty to teach this knowledge, this wisdom, for the benefit of all. And we can see how Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of this. He tried in so many ways to get support, but even in India we see Kali Yuga is progressing, and there is more and more in materialism, even in India. But India is very unique in this planet that has such a sophisticated spiritual wisdom which doesn't exist anywhere in the world. We have basically spiritual traditions that come from India, and we have spiritual tradition that comes in Middle East. And the Middle Eastern traditions have their limitations. They are younger, they have not so much the history of variety of tolerance, of religious spirit practice. And we can see even nowadays, the temples which are thousands and thousands of years old, people actually, it's a very big part of life of people in India, going to the temples, celebrating religious festivals, understanding, celebrating the Mahabharata, Ramayana, the Vaishnava scriptures, Vaishnava epics, that these are the glories of Lord Ram, glories of Lord Krishna. Everyone in India grows up and understands the basics, but Srila Prabhupada was the only one practically that was seeking support to teach the spiritual wisdom to the West, to everybody in the world, because this is not just a Hindu religion, it is a spiritual science meant for the benefit of all living entities. So when Srila Prabhupada came practically all by himself, entirely depending on Krishna, having only $6 in his pocket and the books, the Bhagavad Gita. He arrived at 70 years old, having suffered 2 heart attacks on the road. And he arrived in Boston all by himself, but just see what he's accomplished, because he is a pure devotee of the Lord, and he was completely surrendered to the will of the Lord, and with the mission to fulfill the desires of the acharyas, the desires of the Lord, who has appeared to establish the Dharma. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has accomplished now, that we are able to come and see the Lord in these temples around the world. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopalnanda ki jai, Shri Shri Sita Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai. Thank you for coming and for listening. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti ko shobha Kiva Jaya Jana Vitatavani Jagamanalo Bhajana Vitatavani Dakhineni Taicham Mami Gadadhara Mm-hmm.